Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 movies where the villain kills the hero.
You can box, yes, but you are far too old to think that you can win over Drago.
Oh, is that a fact?
Yes, and it could be a painful one.
For this list, we'll be looking at the greatest big screen examples of one of the bad guys either directly or indirectly murdering a protagonist. To be eligible, they don't have to be the main villains or antagonists doing the killing, nor do the victims have to be the major heroes or main leads, so long as the characters involved are a big part of the plot and are on opposite sides of the story. As we'll be discussing major deaths, a major spoiler alert is now in effect. Which of these deaths did you find the most shocking? Let us know in the comments below. Number 20, 300. Based on the comic book by Frank Miller and Lynn Varley, 300 depicts a highly fictionalized account of the historic Battle of Thermopylae.
That bold Leonidas and his 300, so far from home, laid down their lives, not just for Sparta, but for all Greece.
While the Spartans are undeniably heroic in their efforts, they ultimately lose the battle against the invading Persians. Leonidas wounds the god king Xerxes, but does not kill him. Unfortunately, this act comes in the midst of a massacre. All of the remaining Spartans are killed by the Persians, with most perishing thanks to a bombardment of arrows. Leonidas is shown as the last man standing, and he valiantly welcomes the multitude of arrows that rain down upon him with outstretched arms. Number 19, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. An acclaimed entry in the Star Wars canon, Rogue One goes to some extremely dark places, and it packs one heck of an ending.
They found the Death Star plans. They have to transmit them from the communications tower. You have to take down the shield gate. It's the only way they're gonna get them through.
Most of the protagonists are killed in the climactic battle, including Imwe and Rook. But the most shocking moment occurs when the Death Star appears above the planet Scarif. Grand Moff Tarkin uses the superweapon to shoot the base's antenna, leading to the demises of Krennic, Cassian, and Jyn. As if things couldn't get any worse, Darth Vader himself invades the Rebel command ship and slaughters countless soldiers. However tragic this ending is, we can find solace in the fact that it directly leads into the events of A New Hope, and ultimately, the end of the Empire.
What is it they've sent us?
Hope.
Number 18, Gran Torino. Directed by and starring Clint Eastwood, Gran Torino concerns a Korean war vet named Walt Kowalski, who develops a bond with his Hmong neighbor, Tao.
It's Tao.
What?
It's not Toad, it's Tao. My name is Tao.
Yeah, well, you're blowing it with that girl who was there.
Walt hopes to prevent Tao from joining his cousin's gang, and in the end, he makes the ultimate sacrifice. Walt heads to the gang's hideout and pretends to draw a gun from his jacket, causing the gang members to fire, ending his life. It's a devastating sequence, but it's all for the best, and it concludes Walt's character arc in beautiful fashion. The gang members are arrested, and Tao is freed from their control and influence.
I knew really nothing about life or death until I got to know Walt. And boy, did I learn.
Number 17, Man on Fire. The titular Man on Fire is John Creasy, a bodyguard who seeks vengeance against a kidnapping ring after they abduct Lupita Ramos.
Creasy's art is death. He's about to paint his masterpiece.
This ring is led by an anonymous person known only as The Voice. When Creasy goes to The Voice's house, he is shot in the chest by the anonymous man's brother, Aurelio. While he doesn't die straight away, this wound eventually proves fatal. While giving up Aurelio and himself for Lupita, Creasy dies with the knowledge that he saved the girl. The Voice is later tracked down and killed by an AFI agent named Miguel Manzano. Number 16, Road to Perdition. A gangster drama from director Sam Mendes, Road to Perdition stars Tom Hanks as Michael Sullivan. Sullivan's family is killed, and he seeks revenge against Connor, his adoptive brother, and the son of Irish mob boss John Rooney.
Now listen to me. I tried to avoid more bloodshed. You wouldn't accept that, so I did what was necessary. But I've always loved you.
Rooney in turn hires a hitman named Harlan Maguire to kill Sullivan. While Sullivan kills both Rooney and Connor, he is shot by Maguire inside his aunt's beach house in Perdition. Sullivan returns the favor and kills Maguire, but the hitman's gunshot proves fatal, and Sullivan dies with a tearful goodbye to his surviving son.
I saw then that my father's only fear was that his son would follow the same road.
Number 15, The Wicker Man. A seminal horror film from the early 70s, The Wicker Man contains an iconic ending involving the titular statue.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh my God!
Police Sergeant Neil Howie travels to an island called Summer Isle, which is inhabited by a large group of pagans. He's there because he received a letter telling him about a missing girl who is supposedly living on the island. Unfortunately, Howie later learns that this was all a ruse and that he was summoned to the island to serve as a human sacrifice to the pagan gods. This is carried out in the movie's horrific ending, in which Howie is burned alive inside the Wicker Man as the islanders dance around him. Number 14, The Cowboys. John Wayne starred in some great westerns in his day, and The Cowboys is certainly one of them.
Forgive me for taking your name in vain. My Saturday drunkenness, my Sunday sloth. Above all, forgive me for the men I have killed in anger, and for those I am about to.
He plays Will Anderson, an aging rancher who finds himself taking a group of inexperienced schoolboys on a long cattle drive. Along the way, they're accosted by violent rustlers led by Longhair Watts. During one nighttime confrontation, Watts shoots Anderson in the torso, inflicting fatal wounds. Watts escapes with the cattle, and Anderson dies of his injuries. Luckily, his drive is eventually successful, as the schoolboys, along with the crew's adult cook, trap and kill Watts, retrieve the cattle, and deliver them to South Dakota.
Was he a family man? Did he have any children?
Yes.
Well, then I carve beloved husband and father.
Number 13, Arlington Road. In the mid-1990s, the United States experienced a slew of violent sieges and terrorist acts, culminating in the Oklahoma City attack of 1995. Arlington Road was greatly influenced by these acts and the general atmosphere that they inspired.
There's millions of us waiting to take up arms, ready to spread the word. Millions of us!
No, the government's not who you're killing!
In the drama, Jeff Bridges plays Michael Faraday, a history professor who suspects that his neighbors are terrorists. Turns out, he's right. They're targeting the headquarters of the FBI, which they plan to blow up. The neighbors are successful in their goal, as the explosion takes out part of the building and kills Michael in the process. Even worse, they frame Michael as the lone terrorist and get away with everything, so it's not exactly a happy ending.
This spring's attack on the FBI, the worst terrorist strike in our nation's history, was the work of one man and one man alone.
Number 12, Rocky IV. By 1985, the Rocky franchise had lost pretty much all semblance of reality and was now a bona fide blockbuster with robots and Cold War-ending boxing matches.
If I can change,
Я думаю, что каждый тоже изменился сегодня.
and you can change,
Вы можете измениться.
everybody can change.
To signal this transition, Rocky IV killed off the series' original antagonist to make room for a new one. Rocky's foe-turned-friend Apollo Creed challenges Soviet boxer Ivan Drago to a fight, with the intention of proving America's superiority over the USSR. However, the match is completely one-sided, and Drago beats Apollo to death in the second round. Creed is obviously not the sole hero of this film, but is quite a dramatic way to end the first act, and serves to fuel the titular Rocky's desire for revenge and the rest of the sports drama's plot.
What started out as a joke has turned out to be a disaster.
Number 11, Promising Young Woman. The titular Promising Young Woman can be one of two characters. It can be protagonist Cassie Thomas, or it could be Cassie's best friend Nina Fisher, who took her own life following a horrific assault.
She was covered in bruises the next day. Handprints, I guess you could say.
Cassie sacrifices her own life and potential to avenge Nina, and her journey leads her to an old classmate named Al Monroe. Cassie infiltrates Al's bachelor party and confronts him about the past. But as she's doing so, Al grabs a pillow and suffocates her to death. It's an enormously shocking and unpredictable development, but it doesn't stop Al from receiving his comeuppance. Cassie had a contingency plan, and it results in Al being arrested at his own wedding.
You're Alexander Monroe?
Yep.
You're under arrest for the murder of Cassandra Thomas.
No.
Officer, please remove the bride.
I'm sorry, this is a
You have the
mistake.
right to remain silent.
Number 10, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. A legacy sequel of sorts, The Force Awakens introduced a slew of new characters while bringing back fan favorites, like Luke, Leia, and Han Solo.
You know, no matter how much we fought, I've always hated watching you leave.
That's why I did it. So you'd miss me.
did, monsieur.
One of the major new characters is Kylo Ren, the evil son of Han and Leia. Han confronts Kylo on Starkiller Base and asks him to renounce evil, which serves as a nice inversion of the father-son relationship that Darth Vader and Luke shared. And just as Luke defied his father, so too does Kylo. He initially shows promise and goes to give Han his lightsaber, only to activate it and drive it through his father's chest. And just like that, one of the most iconic characters in movie history was dead. Number 9. Saving Private Ryan. An unflinching glimpse into the horrors of war, Saving Private Ryan isn't shy about killing off characters. In fact, of the detachments sent to rescue Ryan, only a very small number survive.
Earn this.
Included in the dead is lead protagonist Captain Miller, who's a victim of his own conscience. Earlier in the film, Miller allows a German prisoner known as Steamboat Willie to walk free. In the harrowing climax, it's Steamboat Willie that shoots and kills Miller. It's not only the death itself that's dramatic, but the method in which it's filmed. We watch from Willie's point of view as he shoots Miller, perhaps not even knowing who he is. To him, he's not the hero of the story, but just another soldier to shoot.
I just know that every man I kill, the farther away from home I feel.
Number 8. Boys Don't Cry. Hilary Swank received the Best Actress Oscar for playing trans man Brandon Tina.
You don't seem like you're from around here. Where do I seem like I'm from? Someplace beautiful.
The story of Boys Don't Cry is based on a true one, and sadly, the real Brandon Tina was killed on December 31st, 1993 by John Lauder and Tom Neeson. The film honors history and does not diverge from the actual events. In the brutal and emotional climax, Brandon is shot under the chin by John, and his body is defiled by Tom. The movie leaves their fates uncertain, which only makes the ending all the harder to digest. In real life, both were arrested and charged with homicide. Neeson was sentenced to life in prison, and Lauder to death. As of 2022, he's awaiting execution on death row.
Dear Lana, by the time you read this, I'll be back home in Lincoln. I'm scared of what's ahead, but when I think of you, I know I'll be able to go on.
Number 7. Braveheart. While this epic has long been criticized for its wanton historical inaccuracy, Braveheart retains the method of William Wallace's death.
Every man dies. Not every man really lives.
Wallace helped lead the First War of Scottish Independence, and as a result, he was executed by King Edward I of England. While the film shows Braveheart going out as a hero and a martyr, he is nevertheless defeated by the English. Robert, the Bruce's father, arranges for Wallace to be captured, and he is subsequently tried for treason and executed. It all makes for one of the most unforgettable endings in movie history. Number 6. Leon the Professional. Known for being the major debut of Natalie Portman, Leon the Professional is a peculiar thriller. It concerns the relationship between professional hitman Leon and his preteen protege, Matilda Lando.
For me, it's the opposite. I'm old enough. I need time to grow up.
Matilda's family was killed by DEA agent Norman Stansfield, and desiring revenge, she plies Leon to teach her the trade. In the explosive climax of the film, Leon gets a bullet in the back courtesy of Stansfield. Just before he dies, Leon activates a chest of grenades, which proceeds to take out the corrupt agent. While Leon didn't live to see his foe vanquished, he died with the proud knowledge that Stansfield was right behind him.
I take no pleasure in taking a life if it's from a person who doesn't care about it.
Number 5. The Departed. This gangster classic from Martin Scorsese features one of the most unpredictable and shocking movie deaths of the 2000s. Unfortunately, the victim is the hero.
Do you know what we do here? My section? Sir, yes, sir, I have an idea,
Whoa,
sir.
whoa, whoa. Let's say you have no idea and leave it at that, okay?
State Trooper Billy Costigan goes undercover and works as a mole inside the Irish mob. He is successful in rooting out Colin Sullivan, a mob associate who himself is spying on the Massachusetts State Police. But in the midst of Sullivan's arrest, Costigan is shot and killed by another mole working with the mob. Sullivan's surprised face says it all. While this undercover man is by no means the primary villain of the movie, he still represents the systemic issues that Costigan was trying to fight.
We are building a case, and it takes time. You know that.
Something's wrong.
Number 4. Logan. A sort of anti-superhero movie, Logan is far more grounded than the other X-Men films, and it depicts a battle-hardened Logan who is well past his prime.
I hear you at night, you're not sleeping. You don't want to talk about that? Or the booze you're drinking? Or the pus you're wiping away from your knuckles?
While peak Wolverine may have been able to best his villainous clone X-24, old Logan isn't so lucky. X-24 emerges victorious in their climactic face-off, stabbing Logan with his claws and driving his body through a tree branch. It's young Laura who ends up killing X-24 by shooting him with a bullet made of adamantium. Luckily, Logan doesn't die straight away, so he is allowed to share one last and very touching goodbye with Laura. There wasn't a dry eye in the house.
Now you run on home to your mother. You tell her everything's all right.
Number 3. Pan's Labyrinth. Guillermo del Toro has made some wonderful films throughout his legendary career, and many would call Pan's Labyrinth his masterpiece.
Yo he tenido tantos nombres, nombres viejos, que solo pueden pronunciar el viento y los árboles.
Not only does it feature some of his most memorable characters and images, but it also contains a very mature story. Young Ophelia ventures through a magical portal and is led to believe that she is the reincarnated form of an underworld princess named Moana. Along the way, she must battle her ruthless officer stepfather, Captain Vidal. In a horrifying and jaw-dropping plot development, Vidal shoots and kills Ophelia. While she dies in the human realm, her spirit returns to the underworld, where she proceeds to rule once again as Princess Moana.
Venid a mi lado y sentaos junto a vuestro padre, que tan largo tiempo os ha esperado.
It's a bittersweet ending, with death and rebirth given equal emotional heft. Number 2. Avengers Infinity War. To say that the villain kills the hero in this one would be a massive understatement. It's more like the villain wipes out half of the entire MCU roster.
You should have gone for the head.
The ultimate superhero extravaganza Infinity War paid off 10 years of storytelling and featured one of the most stacked casts in the history of film, and many of them die when Thanos snaps his fingers. Upon activation of the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos not only takes out half the universe, but he also kills many beloved heroes, including Peter Parker, T'Challa, and Wanda Maximoff. And that's not including all the people he kills before the snap, like Vision and his own daughter Gamora. Really, it's probably easier to list who didn't die than who did.
What did it cost?
Everything.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Gladiator. Joaquin Phoenix plays a great villain, and Commodus is a bad guy for the ages.
The general who became a slave. The slave who became a gladiator. The gladiator who defied an emperor.
Hero Maximus Decimus Meridius seeks revenge against him, as the son of Marcus Aurelius had his entire family killed. Maximus becomes a renowned gladiator and attracts the attention of Commodus, who challenges him to a duel. Ever the coward, Commodus stabs Maximus before the fight begins, in an effort to weaken him and gain an advantage. Despite the despicable effort, Maximus still comes out on top and bests Commodus. However, the wound proves too great and Maximus dies in the Colosseum, having finally been reunited with his wife and son in death. It's a happy ending, despite all the bloodshed.
We'll see you again. But not yet.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.